Welcome in episode 299 of the Fright Club podcast. Where has the time gone? 299. And actually, we've been busy here the last few weeks. We've been cranking out some extras because we've had great special guests, as we have tonight, as we have today, and also our regular live recording at Gateway Film Center in Columbus, Ohio. But last time out, speaking of Gateway, we were there with a special preview screening of the new Stephen King adaptation from Francis Lawrence, The Long Walk. And we do that on the Fright Club film series occasionally. We like to keep it to films that maybe have slipped through the cracks, but sometimes we get a chance to show one early.
Yeah, every once in a while, a studio, a friend of ours in particular, will reach out and see if we want to host the premiere of something. And so we got to see it a week early with a bunch of people. We had not read that book. A lot of the people in the crowd had read that book. So it was really interesting to have them on the podcast afterwards to talk about what they thought of the adaptation. We both liked it.
Yeah, and most of the people in the crowd liked it too. Yeah. And if you're worried about spoilers, there were spoilers in our conversation live, but I took them out when I edited the podcast. So if you want to check it out just for the reactions and some conversation without spoilers, that's in the last podcast. So yeah, we don't want to spoil anything for anybody, especially when the film hasn't even come out yet.
That's right. And actually, it's funny, in the one before that, we don't do this very often where we just focus on one movie, but we've done it twice in a row now because the podcast before that, we had Scott Woods, great writer Scott Woods, come on, friend of the podcast. Yeah. I think this is the third time he's been on. Yep. And we just deep dove into weapons, which was very much fun.
Yeah, because it's getting a lot of chatter from people that love it, people that don't love it. And we thought we'd go back and forth. And he loves it too. Yeah. And he's always got some great insight. So that was fun.
Yeah. And then our last Fright Club Live was, we showed Ganja and Hess. That was our classic for this year. And we talked about black vampires in movies. Mm-hmm. And I think the podcast went well. People loved the actual content because there are a ton of great vampire movies with black vampires. And you should look up the podcast and find out which ones you might have missed. The movie itself didn't go over as well as some of our films.
A little polarizing, but it's a different.
It's very.
If you go in cold, it's not the kind of vampire movie you're expecting.
Right.
But I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, we had some people who they love that movie, and that is why they came. Robert came specifically because it's one of his all-time favorite movies. So a lot of people loved it, but I think it wasn't what some people were expecting, and it may be a little slow. So it was a little bit more of a mixed review than we usually get.
But a great time as always. And actually, we're back there this coming Friday for the September edition of Fright Club Live, and we're going to be talking about feminist high school horror.
Yes. And we're going to show the great Jennifer Reeder film, Knives and Skin. It is such an amazing movie. It is so unlike anything else. God, I love that movie so much. I'm excited to show it. I'm excited to see it on a big screen again.
Yeah.
And we have a very fun short film to start called Fun.
Yeah.
With puppets. And I love it. So I can't wait to share that too.
Yeah. So that's going to be Friday, September 12th.
Yep.
At Gateway Film Center in Columbus, Ohio. If you're anywhere in the area, please come by. We start with a happy hour, then we record the podcast, and we show the movies. It's always a great time. So that's it's housekeeping. Bookkeeping. I say bookkeeping because we've got a special guest.
That's right.
That's an author and also a movie fan that has worked on some movies too. In fact, at least one of our favorites.
That's right.
Let's welcome in, direct from LA, author and self-described low rent Renaissance man. Did I get that right? Welcome in, Eric Miller.
Yep, that's pretty much describes me very well. Glad to be here.
Oh man, thank you so much for reaching out, because especially when we found out about you and your work and the fact that you're a fan of not only the movies, but a lot of the movies that we're talking about today.
Yeah, I was very excited too about so you've got a new novel out that is called Whatever Happened to Uncle Ed. Is that right?
That's correct. And that's my first novel. I've done anthologies before as an editor, but this is my first foray into novels, which is its own special type of challenge, as many writers know.
What inspired it? I'm, as I was saying just before, I'm about 45 pages into it right now, and it's fascinating. And I love the way it jumps around in time so you're never entirely sure where you are. But it's a fascinating story, and I'm very curious about what inspired it.
Well, I'm really, really glad you're liking it so far. And that structure I was doing, just there's so many characters, and you see the past and the present, and you slowly unpeel the onion, as it were, to learn who these people are and the motivations, which you'll find out later is really, really important to everything that's happening in the overall story. And you're almost one of my favorite sections in the book, which they're all my favorite. But I have to say, one of the films we're going to talk about later, the inspiration was I came out of the Midwest, grew up in Indiana, all over it, and went to various different colleges and was always writing from an early age. So the films of so many great horror films from the 80s influenced me sometimes more than I realized, from Gremlins to Hellraiser, which we're going to talk about, and so many more. House. So many terrific films if people haven't watched them, and a lot of them had kind of a horror comedy vibe, which is really that's my jam. I like sticking the different genres together, either as comic relief or gallows humor, and sometimes just pure comedy horror. But I want to say, I don't remember what the exact origin of Uncle Ed, the character, was. But as I rewatched Hellraiser last night, I realized, oh, wow, Uncle Frank, that had to have influenced me. I was there's no way it didn't. Because I remember watching the movie for the first time and having read the Clive Barker books and so many others, but seeing that in the theater, which, you watch it now and it's like, so, it's not dated by any stretch, but it seems tame by what a lot of the stuff we see now. But the hyper gore and the twisted relationships and everything, and all the crazy angles of that movie were just shocking. And I'm thinking, oh, somebody's doing it, and what I want to do sometimes. So it had to have been an influence. I did write Uncle Ed, the novel. It was a short story way back then. I still have the original one, and some little bits of that. The bits of the story were absolutely there. Most of the characters were there. It became a novella later on, and then I played with it as a screenplay and further developed it, and then flipped back around over the years and went back and completely dedicated it in the novel form so I could expand the characters, the backstories, and everything. So that's the origin of it. It's taken place over many times, and there's bits of people that I know, places that I worked, bosses I had, friends I knew, stories that people told, like all writers. And I think some people, I think a few of my friends have read it and they recognize and know things, but there's also bits of those movies and books that I was fans of in there. There's definitely one entire section, I'll say it, is a loving homage in a fun way to Gremlins. But the movie's definitely not like Gremlins, the book is not exactly like Gremlins, but that one section. And I want to do a pop-up book version of it sometime, because all the little Easter eggs that are in it, that I think some people pick up on a few here and there, but there's tiny references to Poe, my favorite Poe story, and there's little bits and things in there just because, again, I'm a fan, first and foremost. I make movies, I work on movies, I've written movies, I write anthologies and books, but I'm a fan. At the beginning, I'm a horror fan, and that's where everything I do comes from.
Great. Well, then you're good people to us. Well, congrats on the first novel then.
Yes, very exciting.
Great. And actually, the title was pretty easy, gave us pretty easy inspiration to pick the subject of this latest podcast.
That's right. We were talking about evil uncles in horror movies.
Which we were considering anyway. We
were supposed to show the movie Little Monsters a few months ago. Gateway was not able to get it, and he's not evil, but there's a great uncle character in the movie, and so we were going to talk about uncles in horror. Yeah. And we have narrowed it down for this one a little bit more to be specifically evil uncles. But we might name drop a couple of fun uncles as well.
Sure.
I've got a couple too that not all uncles are evil. There's I'm a good uncle, I think. I'd have to
You're a good uncle.
Try to be. Try to be.
Try to keep the evil under wraps. Yeah. Okay, so we don't have any runners up then, right? We don't have any honorable mentions, so we get right to it. Yep. So let's jump in on. I know we have some good stuff because we were talking off air here about this movie, so this will be good. Let's jump in.
At number 5, after returning to his childhood home, a disgraced children's puppeteer is forced to confront his wicked stepfather and the secrets that have tortured his entire life. Possum.
Well, first of all, that's a cool image.
It is.
From on the poster.
Yeah.
Right away, you're like, ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a movie that we showed at Fright Club not too long ago, and it did go over really well. And not very many people had seen it. I'm not sure anybody had seen it. And this is the one, Eric, if I'm right, that you were not familiar with before this podcast.
Well, I couldn't see the clip, so I'm assuming from your poster description we're talking about Possum.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the poster. As soon as I saw it, I went, "Oh, not going to watch that tonight," and then forced myself to do it. And I was going to wait for the daylight because that's a creepy as hell poster, as you can see. But I'm very, very glad I did. Wow, what a stunning achievement! On every level.
And you were saying that the writer-director Matthew Holness, you are already familiar with him.
Yes, and since last night, my brain is hurting and trying to grasp the fact that the same person did that. And one of my all-time favorite pieces of film anywhere, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. I'm still stunned that people don't know about it, but it was not a very high rated at the time BBC short TV series in the 2000s. And it is the fictional Garth Marenghi, who is this arrogant, wannabe, self-proclaimed Stephen King, the greatest horror writer that ever existed. And the Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is a mockumentary. Sorry to ruin it for anybody. Spoiler alert. It's a mockumentary in the now, talking with all the cast and creators about the groundbreaking TV series that was made and lost in the 80s, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Then they show clips of the hilariously, wonderfully horrible clips of the show, and then cut, of course, to the people talking about, just how deadly serious all the episodes were and how they changed society and changed people forever. And it's just a masterstroke of meta filmmaking, of just of a love of horror, love of bad horror, but also having worked on so many movies over the years, and you try your best to not make mistakes. But how they lovingly, in the clips of the old series, they lovingly put in every bad thing you could ever imagine, from boom mics in the shot, miss sync, terrible acting, to random cats running through and cat noises and clothes, just everything. So it's a romp of imagination and a loving homage to just fun. And that the same guy did that. Yeah. You could not be the more polar opposite of Possum. Like I was afterwards, I was reading a bunch of interviews, and with him, and one of his answers to the question was, "There's absolutely nothing funny in this movie at all," and there's not. It is grim. It is dark. Yeah. But it is, and there's sections of that are little bits and pieces, not to give anything away in my novel, but there's little things in there revealing, family secrets, and the history is one of the things you uncover. He does it in such a horrifying, heartfelt, thrilling way that it's just making me cringe and heartbreak for people. And again, all hats off to someone who can go from Garth Marenghi to that and do something so serious, so important, and tell those bits and hopefully give voice to people who have suffered from, family members or whoever, and say that, look, that was me, and how you deal with it. And then on top of it, you can either say it's literal or figurative, whether it's in the character's imagination or really happening. But it's a horror movie, flat out. And the best kind of horror, that it's not Michael Myers or something running around fictional. It's something that happens to people every day. That it really fills in that whole trope that monsters aren't scary, people are scary. Yeah. And you just flat out see. I mean, I'm totally spacing on the main actor's name, which is terrible. Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, I'd seen him in many things before, but just to take on that character and to do it, and just like, you can just see the anguish on his face in every scene, and your heart's breaking. And I know it may not be for everybody, and some people are probably going in expecting more of a traditional horror movie, but and arguably it's the best kind of horror movie, because it really does illustrate so many important things to reality and people.
Yeah, and Sean Harris is great, and talk about serious. I'm almost sure he does not smile. No one smiles in this movie one time.
I don't know. I think Uncle Morris.
Wow.
Okay.
Uncle Morris has got those.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That was straight out of a horror movie right there. Just the teeth alone. So
it's so atmospheric. Yeah. It's psychological horror. It's folk horror, and we love folk horror. Yeah. But it's just so atmospheric and carried by these performances. And when the uncle is, when he's getting those close-ups, you can almost smell his breath. Yeah. God, I bet he smells horrible.
Yeah. You're there. And it's again, obviously I like the movie, and I know some, reading, some people didn't, some people don't necessarily get the ending. I'm still trying to figure out the ending. I'm playing different ways in my head of how I think it actually ends, and I don't want to give anything away to people who haven't seen it. But if nothing else, just go in to see. I mean, call it a drama. Forget horror for a second. It's just a horrific drama in the best way. And I just, and the shot selection, like you said, and I read that he took some, old public service announcements, kind of aped that style. And just, it seems like every choice in the movie was so well thought out and carefully done. And it just, it's vaulted into my list of, hey, watch this, even though I know probably, 90% of my friends say, where's the monster? But like, shut up, watch this, trust me.
Right. I think it's such a beautiful piece of visual storytelling. I think the smoke damaged, wallpaper and just the puppet, my God, the puppet.
The puppet.
Everything about the way every scene is framed, all of the elements in the scene, the colors, the when and where it gets sort of rotty with smoke damage. It's everything is such a beautiful metaphor for the core story, and everything is so heartbreaking and so unseemly. You're just on edge the whole time. But Sean Harris is such a sympathetic character in this movie, and every time he's misunderstood and vilified, like you said, your heart just breaks.
Yeah. And even the one tiny attempt at the beginning that he makes to kind of connect with somebody who he sees might be a kindred spirit turns into part of the plot in this terrible thing. And like no good deed goes unpunished. I think a tour de force, and especially shows what you can do with not a lot of money and a hell of a lot of imagination and creativity. Yeah. So it's just, I can't say good enough things about it. And I'm going to watch it again. And I do have to say, and please, nobody, if you use this against me sometime in a prank or at Halloween or something, I will get revenge. But I hate puppets. I hate ventriloquist puppets. I can't. Magic, the amazing movie. I can't watch it. I need to rewatch it. But just the thought of that movie still just creeps me out. And of course, spiders. So here we've got a spider in a way, a spider puppet, and I'm going, oh geez, you just got me right there. And the way they use it though is both heartbreaking, and then as you've seen towards the end when it goes into more horror territory, the angles and the shots and the way they purposely keep it creepy and off camera and it shows up. It's so startling, and it's not like cheap jump scares, not at all. But when you see it, you have the same effect. But it's like, wow, what just smart.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, and thank you for bringing up that other one that we had not heard.
No, because we are going to
have to look that up.
We're going to.
Oh yeah, let's do an entire episode just on that. I would be happy to be a small part of that.
So number 5 is, and actually you can find that on Shudder. And you can find it on Prime. Yeah. It's streaming now, so check that one out. So that is number 5 on our list of evil uncles. That's possible.
That's right. We have number 4.
At number 4, 10 years after his original massacre, the invalid Michael Myers awakens on Halloween Eve and returns to Haddonfield to kill his 7-year-old niece. Can Dr. Loomis stop him? Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers.
So that's appropriate. Number 4 is Halloween 4.
Well, to be completely fair, since what we're talking about specifically are the uncles more than we're talking about the movies necessarily, it's 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
These are all the episodes in which he's an uncle to Jamie, who in 4 and 5 is played, of course, by Danielle Harris, who is just she was so adorable. She was so adorable in this role. And, after Halloween 3, which currently is, people love Halloween 3. It's a lot of people's very favorite of the entire franchise.
Not me.
But at the time, it was a colossal bomb because, of course, Michael Myers wasn't in it. And people were very mad about it. And so people thought that the franchise was dead. And so in 88, they threw out this Halloween 4, didn't expect anything of it, thought it was going to be the last of the series. And then it was really popular because children in peril horror is always scarier than children are not.
She's really
in peril
good.
Horror. She is.
She's really, Danielle Harris is good right from the beginning. Yeah.
She is. And then so they bring her back because they didn't expect it to make any money. And then they bring it back the very next year, slap together another episode, quite bad. And it was a bomb. And so they didn't get a chance. They filmed 6. They didn't bring it out. It came out in 95. They filmed it a couple of years before. It came out in 95. They do Jamie wrong. They do Jamie's show wrong in episode 6 of this. It's really disappointing. It's a really ugly and unpleasant movie. But But Paul Rudd is in it as Tommy. As Tommy from the first episode, all grown up and freaked out and obsessed with talk radio.
And Kim Darby.
Kim Darby, yeah.
A Kim Darby side of
That's
it.
right.
Deborah Strode.
That's right. So. But I think it was a stroke of absolute genius for the fourth installment to make him an uncle, to give him another family member to be going after. And I think obviously bringing back Loomis was the most important piece of casting that they could do. And while I don't think that it's a great movie, certainly not, on par with the first one by any stretch. No. It's entertaining. I enjoy it. I mean, I like a bad horror movie once in a while, and I'm not sure I would rank Halloween 4 as a bad horror movie, but I do think it's fun.
Yeah, well, one thing I really liked about it, and I'm tied with 1 and 2, and my heart might go to 2 a little bit more because the what Carpenter meant to do in the beginning with Myers is just that unstoppable force of nature. That, and over the years you can almost laugh at all the things that have been done to Michael Myers, and he just keeps coming. Like the Terminator bows down in awe to Michael Myers. But the one thing I really liked about 4 is that they didn't follow the standard easy trope of it's Halloween. There's a monster coming. We can't shut down the town. We'll interrupt Halloween. No, everyone believes it. The sheriff has a moment where he's like, he doubts what's going on, and then it becomes obvious, and everyone comes together. Oh shit, Michael Myers is back. Get the guns, get the family inside, lock the doors, take the kids off the street. Yeah. And that alone was so refreshing because I mean, I probably didn't start with Jaws, but it was in Jaws, and I admit I used it in one of my Sci-Fi Channel movies, Swamp Shark. The same thing. There's a killer shark in the bayou. We can't sort of close the festival down, and I tried to play it for parody, but that was really refreshing, and that they believed it. They bought in, and pretty soon, the evidence is there. There's bodies all over the place. So what are you going to do? But I really enjoyed it. I think it fit right in. It was a great way to kind of restart the Michael Myers thing, even though, like you said, they did some really poor choices with Jamie later on. But in this one, it was a great little addition. It was fun.
It was.
And especially, as you said, with Loomis, right away gives you some extra gravitas. If not only Michael Myers is back, but Loomis is back.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Donald Pleasence, he chews scenery like no one else. I mean, every line that he delivers is so Shakespearean, and it's, oh my God. Yeah, he's great in this. And just little touches like having her wear the same costume that Michael Myers has on in the very beginning of the first one. Just a lot of nice touches that I think elevate the film. It's not like it's a particularly strong movie, but it was made for fans in a way that I think is super engaging.
Yep, it's the epitome of a late stage horror movie. It's a slasher movie. You go and have fun, you scream, you get the cool gore. It's not too much. It doesn't freak people off, but there's great gore moments, and it's scary. Like I said, it's that unstoppable force. And in so many ways, it's they kind of did an homage to the originals. So definitely a great way to restart it. And obviously it worked because there's 56 of them now, or 57.
Well, I don't know what day is it.
That's right.
But who can be more evil of an uncle than Michael Myers?
And imagine that's your uncle. Oh boy. What were the birthday parties like? Holy mackerel, when you were a kid.
Started from a very young age. Danielle Harris on her way to being a scream queen.
That's right.
So good stuff. So that is number 4, Halloween 4 on our list of evil uncles. So let's move up.
Lost my cursor. There
it is.
There it is.
Hit it.
At number 3, in 1930s Korea, a girl is hired as a handmaiden to a Japanese heiress who lives a secluded life on a countryside estate. But the maid has a secret. She is a pickpocket recruited by a swindler to help seduce the lady and steal her fortune. In The Handmaiden.
So Park Chan-wook.
Yes. Love.
You go in expecting a masterpiece, and that's really what you get. And I know that you were super mad that this movie didn't get nominated for Best Cinematography.
Oh my God.
God, it's gorgeous.
The way this movie looks.
Yeah.
Because when we saw it on the big screen the first time, it was so sumptuous. Yeah, I was floored.
Yeah.
It didn't get nominated for cinematography.
Yeah.
But it's Park Chan-wook. I mean, Old Boy.
Right.
Even a couple of years ago, Decision to Leave was one of my favorite movies of the year that year. He's great. And this is an adaptation of the novel, inspired by the novel Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. I guess it was once she got a look at, he shared the script, and she felt more comfortable saying it was inspired by it because he made so many changes. And that's fair.
Oh yeah,
and that's fair. But this is one that I think some people, depending on what your idea of horror is, may not be a straight up horror movie.
Yeah, I don't think it feels at all like a horror movie until Act 3. But this is a much better movie. But he also made a movie called Stoker, which was his first English language movie.
Yep.
That has an evil uncle and is a great movie and has a very Hitchcock vibe about it. Super fun movie. So it came close. If we'd have gone with the fuzzy math, we might have included that as well. But I thought of the two, I was clearly going to go with The Handmaiden. What did you think of it, Eric?
I liked it very much. Like you said, gorgeous. It's just insanely gorgeous. And I do love that they went with the inspired. I haven't read the book, but, something that still torques me off. And I accept more as I get older. But like this is, the book version or the movie version of this book. And then they completely make a musical comedy out of a straight horror film. It's like, come on, guys. So inspired by is awesome and great. And if the author loves that, there's a great core. And there's been many examples of people who have taken source material and, in my opinion, made it even better. So Hollywood doesn't always strike out on that front. Sometimes they improve it or just add to the canon and make it a companion piece. So that's alone. But I also like the storytelling structure, which not exactly like Weapons, but which neither of which are in Rashomon territory. But that seeing one thing and then going back and seeing the other point of view, I love that. I love anytime we break that traditional 3-act structure that's so straightforward and needed in certain types of films. Michael Myers is very much that. It's like it just point A to B. Point the cannon and shoot it at the target. But this definitely goes back and unwraps layers and things and stories, and it makes it so much richer when you think you're seeing one thing and you're actually seeing another. And in that respect, another complete movie with I don't think there's any uncles whatsoever in it, but one of the greatest films that ever done that is One Cut of the Dead. I don't know if you've seen that or talked about it.
Yes.
Vaulted into my top 10 favorite films of all time. But what you see in the beginning is not what you think you're seeing, and then you don't know spoilers. But then you go back and you see what you're really seeing, and it becomes so much better. Different style movie, but I love that as a storytelling.
And if it's done right, like it was in Weapons, it gives you your thoughts and your judgment of the characters changes each time. You see a different. Oh, I thought. I was going to be sympathetic toward this person, but now maybe not. Yeah. And it keeps you guessing and on your toes following the story, which I love.
And I think that's the same. That is true of The Handmaiden. With each part that you have a different really protagonist in each part, and your sympathies change with each part, and then change again with the next one, which I think is really fascinating. It's a somewhat complicated story. It's a con. Sort of within a con that changes at the last minute. And it's all very fascinating. There's also a lot of Korean historical context to it. The evil uncle in question, who doesn't have a very big part, but he's an evil uncle for sure. Uncle Kazuki. His Japanese niece has come to live with him. And it's set in Korea during the Japanese occupation. And he is a Korean man who helped to sell out his country to the occupiers so that he could make a lot of money. They gave him a gold mine, and he uses the money because he's obsessed with rare books of a very specific type. It gets weirder. The movie gets weirder and weirder. And it's so, one of the things I find so fascinating is that subtext, the context, the bizarre nature of Uncle Kazuki, it's never in the front of the movie, right? The con is in the front of the movie, and these relationships with the three main characters. But it's like, what in the fuck is going on in that basement? Like, wait a minute, what? So that when you get to Act 3, I want to be able to stop the movie and step into it. Like, okay, everybody just stop what you're doing. I need to look all the way around this scene and see what I'm missing, because it was just there's so much going on in this film.
Well, and that character and what he does looms over the whole story and influences from time immemorial. And makes the people who and what they are. So it's like it may not be on camera as much, but the presence is there, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for anyone, and I believe this one is streaming as well. Scroll down there. Where can you find it? On Prime. It's on Prime. For anyone who's just going to go check it out, it's extremely sexual.
Oh yeah,
you should know that going in.
No, not going in. It's extremely sexual. You know what? I mean, it's a weird comparison. I thought about this film the first time I watched Portrait of a Lady on Fire. They're just Sharma masterpiece because of what you said, Eric, is that there are essentially no men in that movie at all, really. But there is a man who isn't physically present who looms over every minute of the film.
Right.
And I think that you feel the same thing here. It's like he's barely even there, but he's the reason for everything. And it's a brilliant choice, and it's a complicated story it takes somebody like Park Chan-wook to make it work like that.
Yeah, and this became his highest grossing directed film in the United States.
I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, at the time. And it became the highest grossing foreign language film in the United Kingdom in 2017. So,
perverts.
Sex sells. Yeah.
Once word got out, hey, you got to check this out.
Yeah.
No, but
I got to start putting more sex scenes in my stuff. Darn.
But it is absolutely beautiful, and just batshit stuff is going on, like you said. But cons are fun. We always say that con stories are fun, heist stories are fun, and this just throws everything at you. And it's psychological, it's erotic, it's dark, it's got a lot going for it, and it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous to look at, especially if you can find it on a big screen. So,
yes,
yeah, for sure. And that is number 3, right? Yeah. That is The Handmaiden, number 3, Evil Uncles.
3, and that means, again, if I can find my mouse.
There it is. There it is.
Number 2.
At number 2, a teenage girl, overjoyed when her uncle comes to visit the family in their quiet California town, slowly begins to suspect that he is the Merry Widow killer sought by authorities. The Hitchcock classic, Shadow of a Doubt.
Yeah, this is our classic on the list, Shadow of a Doubt. Classic Hitchcock, and it's based on a true story, based on a true serial killer from the 1920s, Earl Leonard Nelson.
Okay.
Based on some of his exploits. But Hitchcock, I think in some of his interviews, said he loved this because he loved the idea of bringing this menace to a perfect little town.
Yeah.
With everything that goes down here.
Yeah. I love Joseph Cotton's performance in this movie. It's so sly that when they were introduced to the character completely separate from this just bucolic little town where his, this sort of, frumpy woman and curmudgeonly man, hardworking, great family, little bit of a boarding house happening. But then there's like glamour, and there's this seedy hotel room, and there's this guy who's just somehow so evil and so blasé about it, and charming at the same time. There are just, and I think a lot of times when you watch movies that are made in the 1940s, you don't see a ton of layers in performances. The performance style at the time was sort of stilted and sort of glamorous. And I think that he brings something unsettlingly human in its sort of lack of humanity to this character, that once he's alone with his niece is scary. It's just scary. How did you feel about this one, Eric?
Yeah, well, I've always been a giant Hitchcock fan, and so much to talk about. And I hadn't seen this in a while, but it was one of my favorite films for back in the day. And again, jumped right back up because you realize how good it is. But there's so much to talk about it. But you're right, his performance is amazing, and it's that I don't know the right term because I'm not a doctor, but it's either sociopath or psychopath or maybe both. That he can go from one to the other, but it's almost like the OG Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer in some ways. Spoiler alert, but one of the things that Hitchcock that they did in this is also he almost faked out the audience. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but you're expecting it's a Hitchcock movie, it's whatever mystery, but you're expecting there to be a red herring, and even the title Shadow of a Doubt. You have a shadow of a doubt. Is my uncle really this guy that the cops are looking for? Because he's this wonderful, charming guy, and then it's straightforward. He's not. and he finds what he thinks is his kindred spirit, the one person in the world he can reveal himself to is his bubbly, happy, sweetest niece in the world, and turns out not to have quite the connection that he thought it would. And her change is amazing, going from, again, bubbly and happy and seeing the person she's so excited to have him there, and when she starts to realize what he might be, just the change in her is so, like you said, layered and realistic. And there's a lot of pre-code movies. I am hard pressed to name any of them now, but that really did go deeper and darker into some of the characters. But this is one of the masterpieces. And something I noticed too, I just couldn't help but chuckle. People, I think most people get that Hitchcock had such an amazing sense of humor. Like even watching reruns of Alfred Hitchcock's Presents, his intros and outros are like some of the best things ever filmed. And just this guy, it's kind of like a lot of horror writers that I know, this macabre person who makes these really dark stories and really serious things is actually one of the funniest people ever. And there were just little shots in this. It's not a comedy by any stretch, but little shots of the brother and here and there, just reaction shots where just that humor just leaks in, but it also, that makes it real. And it's also that beautiful thing that old movies did so well, that you took time to get to know everybody. It's like you can spend the first hour before you even realize something's going on, and you feel like you're part of the family and you love them and you care about them. And that's sometimes short shift. I mean, I get the modern age and I get our short attention spans, and we want to see blood, a horror movie. Michael Myers did it. Halloween 4 did it so well. Right up front, this is a horror movie. They didn't wait. They didn't wait a bit. Ambulances crashed, boom. But this is something more that I love, just that long, slow buildup and getting to know people. And then when they turn or do what they do, you're so much more invested in it. So I think people relax, everybody, let the story unfold. You don't have to get to the ending in the first act. So it's beautiful.
And I love the duality of young Charlie. There's Charlie and Charlie. You mentioned kindred spirits, and Charlie and Charlie, and you can tell she looks up to him. And then, like you said, the way that she changes and the performances are amazing. And just looking at the poster, you get reminded that, Joseph Cotten was a big star, and Teresa Wright got top billing because she was coming off 3 straight Oscar nominated. She got Oscar nominated for her first 3 movies. And that put her right at the top, even over Joseph Cotten of the time. And that was, for a female like back then to get that over, or somebody as established as Joseph Cotten. And of course, Teresa Wright, one of your all-time favorite cameos from Exorcist 3.
Yep.
In
the confessional is so great. What I like, one of the things I really like about this movie, which again, I think, I'm not even going to say it's uncommon for films made in the 1940s. It's uncommon for films in this genre. She's smart. We see her as being very innocent early on, but she starts to unravel things, and she has good instincts as to what to do,
she does.
How to figure it out, who to talk to, who not to talk to. She still has that very sort of, precious, almost cloying, innocent quality that I think is pretty common in films of that era. But probably because she is such a solid performer, she pushes past that. You see a lot more of this character, and because of the way Hitchcock directed the film, you see that she's very smart. Mm-hmm. She's never like the hapless victim. She's never the damsel in distress. She's always the person figuring it out, even before she even really wants to be figuring it out. She, in the beginning, she's standing up for him and she's insisting on things, and then little by little, it's like, oh, wait a minute, and I was always really impressed by that. This is one of my favorite, probably top 3 favorite Hitchcock films.
It's tough to make that list because when you go back and see one you haven't seen in a while, and you think, oh, that is one of my top 3.
You do.
It happens again when you watch one. And this is available streaming. It's on Prime, and of course the Hitchcock cameo. He's on the train playing cards.
I think so. There is a whole bunch of Hitchcock that is on Netflix. Actually, it might have just been on Netflix until the end of August.
You're right.
I shouldn't have said that.
You're right.
They
took off a lot of Hitchcock,
like all of the Hitchcock films. But they dropped it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Now I'm sorry I brought it up.
Well,
everybody's sorry,
probably,
but it's on Prime.
It's on Prime.
It's probably on Tubi. Everything's on Tubi.
Well, yeah. So check that out. But a classic And that is
definitely worth checking out. And I want to see before we move on to, I'd like to see the version somebody might make or maybe did make is the apt pupil version of this, where instead of turning against him, it's a grooming situation, and you could go even deeper and darker there. And at like the cons, is she really buying into it or is she not, or whatever. There's so much that's so rich. You could almost do an entire like a Netflix series, like Mike Flanagan did with Haunting of Hill House. You could almost go even further into a story that's already there and see what happens.
That's a great idea.
That is.
Actually, before we hit to number one, you have brought up a couple of things before the podcast. A couple of uncles, of course, the one who's sort of the bad uncle on which all other bad uncles in literature and film are built, that you thought you might mention.
Yeah, well, only one of them's evil. Well, two of them are, but it may be something in the Bible I'm forgetting. But if you really want to say the original gangster of bad uncles is Claudius from Hamlet. You don't get much more. Let's go in the fiction territory there. You don't get much more, evil uncle than that. And that's, one of the greatest pieces of literature in the world ever. So, and there's also a book I haven't read. I just saw it on the internet. I went and jumped online to see what did I miss and what did I forget. But apparently there's either an Irish or a British Gothic horror novel, one of the originals, Uncle Silas, which I wasn't aware of, but I've ordered it. So readers out there, some people may have seen it already, but I've definitely got to get that. But I do have to give the nod to a couple good uncles. It did remind me of Uncle Al from Cycle of the Werewolf, Stephen King, book and movie. And he's a good guy. He's not evil at all. He's the good guy. And it's always good to have a good uncle. And another one, such a great character, one of my favorite characters out of dozens of awesome characters. There's a book series called Monster Hunter International, which have been around quite a while. I think I've lost track of again how many books there are in the series. Just delightful, fun, and wonderful, and scary, and action, and a completely different take on monsters if you're not familiar. And I'm still stunned that there hasn't been a TV series or a movie made from these yet. It must be stuck in development somewhere, I hope. But Earl Harbinger, Uncle Earl, and I won't spoil anything. Anyone who's read the books knows exactly what I'm talking about. He's such a cool guy, kind of an enigmatic character with all of the things in this world where monsters are real and there's bounty hunters that are sanctioned by the government to hunt them down and kill them, and everything that happens with the hero who just happens to be an accountant who gets attacked by a werewolf one night and is introduced to this whole world that he didn't know exists. And among the people he meets is Uncle Earl. And Earl Harbinger, terrific name. And he even got his own book later on in the series. So if you haven't checked those out, you should. Just fun horror books, and also scary. And Uncle Earl, again, iconic character. So I just wanted to throw those out on the good side.
Yeah, and just to build on that, the Stephen King, of course, the Silver Bullet. His name is Red, Uncle Red, and it's Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, yeah.
Unhinged, fun, clearly alcoholic, Uncle Red. He's a ton of fun. I mean, and one of the things I really loved about his performance in that movie is that, the kids are like, oh my God, it's werewolves. Well, he was going, oh yeah, no, that makes perfect sense to me. I'm drunk as a skunk, kids, but I think you're right. Let me give you some weapons. It's just the way he manages that character. Sure. Makes everything that happens seem almost like, that could happen, because the guy in charge is Gary Busey.
And I love that one because that is one of the one or two Stephen King books I actually read. I read Cycle of the Werewolf because it's not very long. And I cracked that one out. Yeah, but so many of his are long for me. Oh,
Stephen King books are long? I didn't know.
Well, that's good stuff. Good honorable mentions there. Some mentions to some evil, some good uncles.
That's right.
And by the way, anybody poo-pooing Shakespeare, just remember Hamlet has a ghost.
That's right.
So that can be,
Oh,
that can be horrible.
It could be in this, and everybody dies. So.
All right, room at the top.
That's right.
And at number one, a woman discovers the newly resurrected, partially formed body of her brother-in-law and lover. She starts killing for him to revitalize his body and escape the demonic beings that are pursuing him after he escaped their underworld. Hellraiser.
All right, this is where I have to show my T-shirt.
I saw that.
There it is. Because this is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Talked about this a lot. I love it. And talk about an evil uncle. This guy.
Wow. Oh, Frank. And I think it's fun. I'm glad that we the thing about it is we've talked about this movie so many different times in so many different contexts, practical effects or demons or, I mean, so many, but we never really get, and also I gotta say, Julia is the one that we talk about the most, the great Claire Higgins, because she's my favorite character in this entire franchise. She's so brilliant. But, and the Cenobites, I mean, but we almost never just focus on Uncle Frank.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to do it today.
Starting with the actor, Andrew Robinson,
Oh, yeah.
who just has that look in his eye. I mean, he's a veteran actor. He's been
he's Larry.
A million things. Yeah, he's Larry,
but he's also Frank eventually,
yeah,
because of them. So it's true.
Yeah, because Frank doesn't last that long.
No, he doesn't last very long.
that incarnation, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about Larry. You're right.
Yes, yeah.
Who's got that? He's just got that face, and he's been in so many movies and parts in TV that you recognize him. Even then, even back when this came out, he had a ton of credits.
Oh yeah.
And he just had that look like he's going to be unhinged at any moment, and which is perfect for this part.
It's great, I think, because he plays both the loving father and then the flesh on top of the evil uncle. That there's just something wrong with his face. I don't mean like it's scarred or anything. I just mean he has this way about him that I thought it was a perfect perversion of this doting, loving father.
Yeah.
He was a great choice for this performance.
Yeah. And it's another way to talk about, especially considering the time it came out. What was so popular back then was the Freddy Kruegers and the Michael Myers. Yeah. And I think the producers, the studio wanted Clive Barker to go in that more of that way. Make it a little funny, make it a little crazy Freddy Krueger, or make it silent like Michael Myers. Yeah. And he was determined to make Pinhead especially, refined, sort of like what Hannibal Lecter was,
later,
well-spoken, things like that, which is creepy. And of course the makeup effects are so great.
Oh, yeah,
and also you talk about decision-making and being smart like we did in Shadow of a Doubt.
Yeah.
But the final girl here is smart. She pieces things together in making up her own deal about how we can get out of this by, hey, wait, you want this guy.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make that happen. Mm-hmm. I find the whole story very compelling, and of course it's bloody as hell.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I know
it's
your favorites.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. One of the movies that influenced me so much, and the original story, Hellbound Heart, I think it is, just so influential at the time, and even now, rewatching it last night, like I said, it just brought back so many great memories, and just back in the day when they did practical effects, there's some that are still like and the ick factor, and I do have to bring up a similarity between this and Possum. Which is a really completely obscure thing. When they go into the house, which Frank, bad things have happened, and it's the family house that they get for whatever reason. They don't even clean the thing up before they move in. It's all scuzzy and everything. That actually bugged me in a weird, just stupid OCD way. But in Possum, when they go into the gruesome house, it all fits because that's how they live. So that's like the most tenuous connection between the two films. So I'll just go be a house cleaning geek on another show. But no, it's such a seminal movie, and I think just influence. And like you say, the funny thing is just the villain is actually Frank when you get down to it. Yes, the Cenobites and Pinhead, they're so iconic, and the look and the filming and some really simple things, the lights behind the slats and just little bits of smoke, just so completely goes right into your brain and makes you scared. But and the story wise, it's Frank. The Cenobites are just there. Like Pinhead even says it, later on. I mean, sure, they're enjoying what's going on, and they're the dungeon masters of the literal psychotic dungeon, but I'm sure they're having some kind of fun. But it's really, who's the bastard in this? It's Frank and Julia. Just like what despicable people. And what a family, especially not only just him doing it, but also you get to the point where Pinhead's going after Ashley Lawrence. You just like here, take my uncle instead of me. Like they just this whole family just instantly turns on a dime and chucks somebody to the bad guys. I'm like, this is so great.
It is, because you're right. I think the Cenobites, they have a code. Like they clearly do. They have a code, and the people they don't.
Yeah,
they don't live by
they definitely have a
people
code.
In this movie do.
That's why they can't. Yeah, you opened it, we came. That's boom. Right. Those are the rules.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Great Ripley line. You don't see the aliens fucking each other over for a percentage kind of thing. It's they're pure evil. They do what they do. And Michael Myers, he does what he does. It may be sick and gross, but he just does it. There's no moral judgment. You people are just betraying everybody. So
that's right.
Yeah, just from all levels, the acting, the story, the look, the design, the monsters, everything in it. It's so just a phenomenal film. And
and there's always this undercurrent of perversion.
Yeah,
just that runs through everything.
Went there on the sex front. Went there in places that a lot of mainstream movies still don't go. I guess until 50 Shades of Grey, which I guess you could say is a horror movie in its own right in some ways. But yeah, you don't get to see a lot of BDSM in mainstream movies, at least not the ones that I go to. So yeah, but it's just, you know what? That's Clive Barker though. I think one of the quotes that it's the iconic quote that he said years ago is, "I forbid my mind nothing." And both as a writer and as a filmmaker, it's just like, the hold my beer, like watch this, and just unafraid and unapologetic to just go places that other people won't. And you have to celebrate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I still rank this as one of my favorite type of, the era of the 80s. The 80s horror movies. This is, for me, is always right up there over me personally, over the Freddy Kruegers and the Michael Myers. Maybe not, the first. I love the first Halloween, but after that, this one is right up there at the very top for me. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it just goes into fantasy and other dimensions, and just goes places that goes places literally and figuratively that the other ones don't sometimes. So,
and I love that they do not explain what you're seeing with each Cenobite. Like that, you get no backstory. You're just like, wow, that's just open. That's just I could just put my finger right in there and touch her larynx. That and
the way that looks is very sexual.
Oh my God! Everything about it. It's and I love that they just, here they are. This is what we look like. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to tell you where we're from. We're not going to explain what we do. You're not going to enjoy it, but maybe you will. Yeah, it's very provocative. Is what it is.
Yeah, just fascinating. A great
even obviously they explain it years, later on they explain things, but that's fine. I love that in movies too, that people just accept things. I think we over-explain things in movies. That's why it's so much easier to do a Jaws movie or Alien or something. It's a shark. You don't have to explain a shark. It's just they're eating people. And when you have to get into too many complicated explanations, you start losing people. That's what sequel number 14 is for.
That's right.
So Hellraiser, number 1 on our list of evil uncles. This is fantastic, Eric. You brought so much to the conversation. Thank you so much.
Yep. Well, I really appreciate being on, and it's I got to get that T-shirt too. I got to add that to the collection. And I don't know about you too, but every now and then I break out a Rubik's Cube just to show how completely pathetic I am, because I still can't solve it without the internet help. But you sit there and you click it and move it and you go, oh, is something going to happen here? So I'm sure there are Hellraiser Rubik's Cubes out there too. So if it's not, so a sticker.
If not, someone's missing a trick.
That's right.
Yeah.
But your debut novel, Whatever Happened to Uncle Ed, is available now?
Yes, it is. It's out this year. It's been out, and it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble for Nook, and Kobo readers for people who have it. And it'll be an audiobook is in the works right now.
Nice.
It'll be out someday.
That's awesome.
So where can people find you online on the socials?
You can go to, I'm Raging Eric on the socials. I'm mostly active on Instagram. You can also look up Big Time Books Publishing. I do dip into the Facebook here and now, but mostly I do Instagram and the old, I don't think anybody does the internet anymore, but the World Wide Web, bigtimebooks.com and ericmillerwrites.com.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, that's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
Okay, looking ahead, we touched on it a little bit earlier. This Friday, we've got we're taping our 300th episode of Fright Club. We'll be doing that live at Gateway Film Center in Columbus, Ohio, as we talk about feminist high school horror.
Yep. And we show the great Jennifer Reeder film Knives and Skin, and a very fun, not for you, May, because of the puppets, puppet horror short called Fun.
Yeah, I'll have to see it. I'll see it. I'll watch.
So that's our next event and our next podcast coming soon. But until then, you can catch us all over the socials, the YouTube channel, obviously, and most other socials at MaddWolf Columbus. Mm-hmm. The main website is maddwolf.com. And we might as well give an early plug. This is coming. It's not going to be for a while, but November the 12th here in Columbus, Ohio, we are very excited to be.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we are very excited to be hosting the 40th anniversary screening of Reanimator with Jeffrey Combs. He's going to be here. We're going to show the film, and we're going to have a Q&A afterwards. That's going to be at the Southern Theater in Columbus on November the 12th. And those tickets are on sale now. So we got a few weeks, but I wanted to throw that out there.
But he's going to do a Fright Club with us.
He is.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Looking forward to that. So a lot coming down the pike. Eric, thank you again so much.
Thank you so much.
Keep in touch with Eric. Keep in touch with us. And until next time, she is Hope MaddWolf. And this is the Fright Club podcast. We'll let Eric say the words.
Stay frightful, my friends.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay, hang on.